So now that that's cut out, you basically take your other side, the symbols or the other colors, I'll put that aside, and you basically repeat the same process, except don't glue this yet, just cut out the outsides. Same thing that we did just a second ago, but do it with this one. Now, when you're doing it, you may have noticed I've got the foam on my metal up. That way it just sits flat with the metal. I find that if it's not, there's a chance you're going to kind of angle. And you do want to make sure that you put enough pressure that the ruler isn't going to move, because if it does, then it'll just wreck your edge. It makes it look horrid. I've done that, and the process is exactly the same. Just quickly, you know, cut out your edges, same exact process, no difference. You want everything to line up exactly the same way you cut the other pieces. You know, the end result is this is supposed to be the other side, so they should be exact. And if they are, then everything will work out perfectly. So I won't fast forward through this section because it only takes a second, and then I'll show you the next bit. So just bear with me for a moment. I won't be a second. It's the advantage of having the really sharp knife, is it goes real quick. And that's one of the other reasons you want such a sharp knife is, you know, it makes a clean edge, but if it's too dull, you'll actually get a really jagged edge on your paper. Here it's just nice and clean. So when you're done, you basically repeat the same exact process with the gluing, right? You may notice this is starting to curl a tiny little bit. When that happens, just kind of flex it out. Don't bend it or reef on it, just enough to make it smooth again, right? Just enough to kind of flatten it out. And then the same exact process, you glue it down. So I'll fast forward through that bit because that does take a second. And when I'm done, I'll show you how to attach it. But exactly the same, start with the edges and work your way in. Okay, so now that this is glued, you want to make sure that you line up everything the right way. This front is universal. If you don't have something universal, make sure that you line up the tops with the tops. And what you want to do is take the longest edge and line it up with your paper. And you do want to be precise. The better and more precise it is, the better off you are. And you just line it up as absolutely best as you can. And then the process is the same. Just gently pat it down. The more precise you are, you will get nice clean edges, right? And that's really what you want. This stuff, you don't really have a whole lot of room to move. And so that's why precision is important. But we did the front first because that's the most important side. It has to be precise. The back, if it's off a tiny little bit, it's not the end of the world. It's just inconvenient. So when we're done, you know, same thing. If it curls a little bit, smooth it out. You know, give it a second. And then what you want to do here is you want to cut it out now, right? Just cut out each of the squares. I recommend cutting like this way first and then cutting out the others. Don't double cut. Like if you cut it into sections like that, don't cut this one and this one together. Make each individual cut on its own separate sheet. That way you don't offset. And that's it. So, you know, it's that simple. And like I said, always cut the front, the part that you see, because like I said, if it's not perfect, you might be able to identify what card is what, and this just ensures that you can't. So here, you also got to be a little bit careful because you're cutting through card, you know, paper kind of thing. So it's going to take a little bit longer to cut out, and you got to be a little bit more careful because if you apply too much pressure, you might actually rip the paper on the underside. So just take your time and go slow, and that's it. So simple process, so I'll leave you to it, and I'll just skip till the time I'm done and show you the rest. There. So now that they're all cut out, you can sort of just clean off your table, and away you go. Now, I took the liberty of making the second set, so I have the colors as well as the symbols. Now, as I said, the whole point is that you want the outsides to be pristine, right? And see, they're really nice, they're simple to use. And you basically use them exactly the same way that you use the tarot or the playing cards, except now you've got something to work with, right? No matter whether I'm using the colors, see, they're all... But see, here on the color, I'll kind of come in a little bit. You can see my knife is not exactly as sharp as it could be. It tore a little bit through the bottom paper, and that's one of the reasons you make sure that you're cutting on that edge, is because that way it's always pristine, because that's the side you see, and that's important. So the nice thing is that when you're working with these, you've got the little cheats, right? The little things that show you exactly, right? This is the exact colors, these are the exact symbols, and you use it in exactly the same way as playing cards. The only difference with these, you basically pick one at random, do something with it, like put it on the table or whatever. Then when you're done, you take it, you put it back, and shuffle again. Don't ever just grab one and then grab another. You want the chance that you could actually get the same symbol twice. That's a perfectly viable option. Because without that option, then you're sort of limiting yourself to, you know, here you've got 8, so then you'd be down to 7 because you know it's not going to be that one, and you don't want to do that. So it doesn't matter if it's the symbols or the cards. And with these, because like these things, there's an up and a down on these 3 symbols. Don't worry if they get turned upside down. It doesn't matter. It's an arrow, it's a triangle, it's a star. No matter what direction it's facing, it really doesn't matter. But like I said, past that, you use them exactly the same as playing cards. They're just a different tool. And the advantage to them is you get to put whatever you want on them. And if you decide at a later date to put something else, go right ahead. That's, as you saw, they're so easy to make. It takes nothing to just decide I'm going to make something new. And if these symbols are too easy, add more complicated ones. If these colors are too easy, add more complicated ones. If you find that both are too easy, add symbols with colors. You know, maybe that'll add an element of difficulty. Use your imagination. Have fun with it. After all, that's what it's all about. So there you go. There's making them, and there's how you use them. Go and have fun doing it.